You showed me how to dare to love. So tell me what you're thinking of.
Alright, cool beans. Hope you guys did enjoy that small montage. I'm Hex. I'm finally going to be going over my Stamina Stamina Templar build for the Necrom Chapter update that should easily transition into the next update. So let's just get it out of the way. This build is full on cheese. You put 2 dots on a target and you will more than likely melt most pugs. There's been times where I literally put 2 dots on the target and was buffing up, and before I can even finish my 4th buff, the target was already dead on the ground, which is just insane to think about. So imagine the pressure you could put on when you actually start spamming them down with jabs. Like, it's just insane. Now, if you're wondering whether to run the mag or Stam version, I'm just going to say it right now, in my opinion, the mag version is superior. You get all your buffs from your pods, you get an extra slot on the mag build, and honestly, your spammable heals you for almost half the damage done. So in my opinion, the mag version is a little better, so check that one out. But for those that do like a challenge or want to say that StamPlar is not dead, or maybe you just love Stam and hate mag, either one, this build is no pushover. This is a strong contender to that build. You run almost the identical sets, identical build, just obviously being a Stam build, being a roly-poly, and having just more access to more Stam abilities, which is, you know, always fun being a roly-poly. It is full cheese, and if you run into BGs, you will melt most pugs. But before we get started, as always, if you hit the subscribe and like button, it really goes a long way and I greatly do appreciate it. And for those that don't know, I actually have stopped over to PC, so if you guys want to see me do the whole grind from 0 to hero, follow me on my Twitch, where I will be streaming most the non-boring stuff, like grinding CP and grinding a few things I won't show, but like when it starts coming to doing more DLC content and all this and that, grinding gear, I will be streaming more of that, so come by over there. Stop by and say hi, because honestly, you guys make that grinding experience so much fun. Those 6-hour streams feel like 30 minutes with you guys in chat. Honestly, it's just amazing. And for those that do want to support me even further, support me on Patreon and choose the first video of every month. But without further ado, let's jabs our way into the build. Alright, so first skill we do run is Living Dark. Honestly, this is one of the cheesiest heals you will ever get on a class. When you put this bubble for 12 seconds, you reduce movement speed of enemies directly hitting you and heal for over 2k every half second. Snare them and a cheesy heal. Do not leave home without it. Trust me, I learned the hard way. Next skill is Camo Hunter, mainly just slotted there for the 12% weapon and spell crit. That's it. Also can grab Minor Berserk, which is nice damage. Also, you can cast the skill to maybe get those pesky Night Plays out of stealth. You can either run this skill, or you could run Reflective Light or Vampire's Bane. This would give you crit for both bars and put another dot. Up to you personally, I just like the damage from Camo Hunter, it's a lot of damage. Next skill is Radiant Glory. This is a Pug's worst nightmare and a 1vXer's worst nightmare. This is basically our hard-hitting execute. The lower health they are, the harder we hit, and we also heal for 1/4 of the damage we do when we get minor mending on us. Look at that. Just amazing and honest, and you can't roll dodge this. No, you are unable to roll dodge this. Next skill is Rending Slashes. This is a pretty good skill, but when you put it with the arena weapon, which we'll explain it to in a little bit, stick around to the end, it is beyond insane. Like the amount of dot pressure and just overall damage. Next skill is Biting Jabs. This is obviously the spammable of sweeps. This one sadly does not heal, does the same amount of damage. The thing about this morph is that every time you cast a skill for 10 seconds, you get 20% weapon and spell damage. Now this is my only gripe. Please, Sauce, if you're hearing this, please buff this up to 20 seconds, because when I'm getting zerged over and I'm playing defensive, I will never bar swap to this just to cast it once for 10 seconds. It is not worth the GCD. 15 seconds, maybe 20 seconds, I will do it. Please, 20 seconds would be perfect. And for ultimate, obviously Dawnbreaker Smiting. This is our hard-hitting ultimate. Hits ridiculously hard in a cone in front of us, and if they're able to tell the tail of the Dawnbreaker, well, that dot's for sure going to put them down. And on top of that, stuns them for 2 seconds, so you're able to set up for that beam combo. Just good night. For the back bar, we do run Race Against Time. Obviously, this is our Stamina that just happens to grab Major Expedition and Minor Force. Next is Restoring Focus. This is basically the Stam morph of our armor buff. Basically, when you cast this, you get an armor buff. And you also recover 242 stamina whether you're within the ring or not. You get that stam regardless. As long as the rune is up, you get the stam, and as long as the rune is still up, you heal for a certain amount of your health, which is tripled if you are within the ring. So if you're not going to get CC'd and you don't have enough stam to break it, cast the skill underneath you, and honestly, if you're like fighting 1v1, you can honestly just stand in your rune and you're basically immortal. This, with Living Dark, you're almost immortal in a 1v1. Like, it's ridiculous. Next skill is Resolve and Vigor. Obviously, this is our burst off, healed on over 5 seconds, and grants us minor resolve. And next, Elemental Susceptibility, or most commonly referred to as LA says. This is how we get major breach on the build, basically getting almost 6k armor shot on a target. It also puts burning, chilled, and concussed on a target initially and every 7 seconds. And we all know what happens when you put chilled with knife staff equipped, which we do have. We put minor brittle on them, making them take 10% bonus damage from crits. For the last skill we do run is Honor the Dead. This is obviously our burst heal. Cast this skill, you basically burst heal to full with its crits, and honestly, it's amazing. Please run this morph. Honor the Dead is the morph, the go-to morph. Do not run Breath of Life. You will mag out. You can run this on a Stam build, and you will have almost infinite mag sustain. It's crazy. Basically, when you heal yourself or an ally under 75% health, you get some of the mag back over time, which is just insane. You cast this, cast some other buffs, and you basically get the full refund of this skill basically with the mag recov you have on this build. And our ultimate, obviously, Temporal Guard. Basically just slotted there for the simple passive that grants minor protection while slotted. You might be wondering, well, don't Templars already get minor protection? Yes, only when you cast your jabs, but you're more than likely not going to be casting that every 6 seconds. It's just there just in case it falls and you're playing super defensive. You don't want to be super squishy on that back bar. Alright, but enough, that's with the stat sheets. Alright, so for our stat sheets, we're going to pop a simple tripod. There we go. Alright, so our max mag is over 18k. Max health is shy of 37k. This actually can go up to 37k if you do run a certain food. And our max stam is over 25k. Look at that, mag recover 1200, and our stam recover is also over 1200. Might look low, but you do realize we are a stam build with a rune. We get 242 mag every second, which is equivalent to almost 500 stam recover, and we do have a red CP that gives us an extra 150 mag and stam recover with a negative status effect. And if you're playing PvP, you're always going to have one up regardless. Our fully proc weapon and spell damage real quick. Look at that, spell damage is shy of 6100, and our weapon and spell crit is at shy of 39%. And our physical and spell pen is under 5k. Might look low, but you have to realize we do have access to major breach, potential minor breach, and the power that is Balor's. And I mean, let's just take a quick look at the power that is Balor's real quick. Look at that, full Balor's over 6800 spell damage, and our physical and spell pen is over 16k. That's not including the 9k potential armor shed on the target. So we basically have over 25k armor shed on a target with 500 Balorgs. And our back bar real quick. Look at that, spell resist over 28.5k, and our physical resist is just shy of 28k, and our crit resist is just shy of 2100. That is some tanky stats with no marking. For attributes, we do have 24 points in health and 40 points in the stam. Honestly, on this build, you could put all your points in the stam, honestly, and you could be perfectly fine. Honestly, I'm thinking about that. Get some extra damage for there. For the food, we do run Jewels of Mithril, saying that purple food is perfectly fine. And for the Mundus, obviously the Thief. If you know me, you know that I love crit. If you crit your whole combos, pugs get absolutely deleted, and sweats get absolutely pressured and cannot get off their back bar. But if you are having more sustain issues, you could run the Serpent or even the Outro if you wanted to. Honestly, up to you. Obviously, we are a stage 3 vampire for one simple passive. Undeath. The lower health we are, the tankier we become. And for my race, I'm an Imperial. Honestly, in my opinion, Imperial is hands down the best open world Stam race out there. We get access to Tough, the most max health from a ratio passive. Imperial Men increases our max stat by 2k. And most importantly, Red Diamond reduces the cost of all your abilities by 6%. That includes mag, stam, health, and ultimates cost less. And also your core combat skills cost less. Your roll dodge, your CC breaks, your blocks, your bashes, your sneak. All that costs 6% less. Basically almost negating the downside of being a stage 3 vampire. Some great alternatives. Khajiit would be perfect for this build. We do have high crit. Orc could be really good. Wood Elf could be really good. Don't sleep on Wood Elf. Nord could be really good. Dark Elf, you're kind of pushing it. Argonian, you're kind of pushing it. Anything else I'd kind of maybe stay away from. All right, but enough of that. Let's go with the sets now. Alright, so for the sets, they're going to be very similar to the Magic CheesePlar. If you haven't seen that video, go check that one out first. Honestly, really cheesy. But for those that do want to run the Stam build, for the monster set we do run the powerhouse that is Balorgs. There's two reasons I run Balorgs. The main thing is because I don't have Marsalok. So if you have Marsalok, run Marsalok. Please, I think for the Stam version, I think Marsalok would make you hit so unbelievably hard. But Balorgs is a strong contender. So if you don't have Marsalok or you don't like the hype of Marsalok, you could run Balorgs, and Balorgs is just perfect. Let's go over it real quick. I mean, let's just flatter it. being able to get to 500 weapon and spell damage and over 11k penetration is just amazing, because when you drop your ultimate, that's it, you're committing to your combo, you're committing to your kill, and getting all that extra weapon damage and spell damage, and especially that penetration, is what puts people down in the ground. But like I said earlier, if you have Martial Lock, run Martial Lock. I think it'd be better for the Stam build. But Battle Arcs, obviously, also when you complete your combo, you also have that extra weapon and spell damage for your heal, so you're really burst healing yourself if you crit. For the build, we do run 2 One Pieces, which is weird. One Piece Trainee and One Piece Druid's Braid. They honestly do the exact same thing. Trainee gives you the most max health for One Piece, and Druid's Braid also gives you another One Piece, but this is a normal One Piece. Gives you 1200, while Trainee gives you 1400. The only reason we don't go 2-piece Trainee is because 2-piece Trainee gives us max mag, and we don't want max mag on the build. We're Stam build, we don't really need it. It'd be nice if we could, but the reason we run those 2 is because we do have 2 slots available. Because we do run a mythic on this build, and what mythic is that? Similar to the Mag CheesePlar, we do run Death Dealer's Feet. Honestly, Death Dealers is honestly a very slept on mythic and a strong contender. I mean, Markin is just overall better, but when you can't fit Markin on a build like this one, Markin was just not viable. We couldn't double proc it, so the next best bet was Death Dealers. Being able to get some stacks, every stack gives us 88 mag health and stam max. Up to 30 stacks. So after a minute of fighting, you get over 2500 max mag, max stam, and max health, which can be increased with our heavy armor and our undaunted passives, which is just crazy to think about. Some great alternatives: you could run Sea Serpent if you don't mind the snare. Sea Serpent would give you the most damage, and preferably if you do play BGs, go Sea Serpent. But if you're more open world, or you prioritize your speed, because I fight outnumbered and getting snared is just a death wish, then go Death Dealers. You could maybe go Markin, it wouldn't be bad, but it just wouldn't be min-maxing. And for the main 5-piece we do run, because we do run a 5-piece static on this build, and that is Deadly Strike, or most common for 2 as Deadly. Deadly is honestly, it's just to say it's deadly on the build. It's super deadly to your opponents. They got the name right. It is extremely deadly, just like the Mag CheesePlar. It is extremely deadly. I mean, let's just look at it. The 2 to 4-piece, 2 lines of weapon and spell damage, and a line of crit already got me sold, but the 5-piece, it's where it's at. Increases the damage done with damage over time, so your dots and your channel abilities do by 15%. That is basically a minor and major berserk for our jabs and our radiant and our Dawnbreaker dot and our dual wield dot and our Vacheron dot and our so many dots on this build. It's just insane. But this wouldn't be perfect without the arena weapons we run. And what arena weapons are those? I mean, you can pretty much already tell, but for those that don't know, for the front bar we do run the Master's Perfected Maces. Obviously non-perfected, perfectly fine. The only thing the perfected version does, it gives you about 2.5% crit. That's it. Whether perfected or non-perfected, the main thing, Twin Slashes deals over 1600 bonus damage on the initial hits and every bleed tick. If you didn't know this, when you rending an opponent, you actually hit them with both weapons, and you actually double proc this, and every bleed tick after every 2 seconds procs this. It's just insane pressure, and it's set and forget. You can put this on so many targets and just have that dot going and pressuring people down. And this wouldn't be complete without our back bar arena weapon, which is of course the Perfected Ice Staff of Vacheron. Honestly, the Vacheron Destro, or most common referred to the Vacheron Ice Staff because you only run this back bar, is insane. Obviously non-perfected, perfectly fine. The only thing the perfected version does is it grants you about, let's just switch to it so it glows, gives you about 1200 offense pen. That's it, which is kind of useless on a back bar because we don't really want offense on our back bar since we're mostly going to be playing defensive on it. The main thing, when you cast weakness to elements to a target within 15 meters, 15 meters is a long range by the way, you tether you and the target together for 10 seconds. Every second you do either flame, shock, or frost damage, and every time you do damage you increase the next tick by 1%. The thing about this, I didn't know, thank you Chumpgram, is that if you tether Joe Bob number 1 and you have like Joe Bob number 2 or even 3 in between you, they all take damage. So you basically have a tether that does damage to all opponents in there. So if you have another Joe Bob in the middle and you hit both of them, you actually get 2% on your next hit, and if you hit them again, now you're doing 4% bonus damage on your next hit. You see how it keeps going? And the crazy thing about this, it lasts for 10 seconds with a 10-second cooldown, which is just insane, and it scales off weapon and spell damage, which we do have a ridiculous amount on this build. But how exactly do we run it? For the front part, we do run, like I said earlier, the double perfected maces. Obviously, not perfected, perfectly fine. On the main hand, we do run Nirnhorn. Please, on the main hand, make it Nirnhorn. It makes a difference, and it absorbs damage chance. Good for the stand sustain, but mostly there to be able to proc minor breach. And on the off hand, we do run another mace with precise with a poison damage enchant. Precise, you know me, I love crit, and poison just to proc another status effect on the target, another dot, which is really nice, and can also boost up your damage for martial lock. And for the back bar, obviously the Vaishram perfected ice staff, non-perfected, perfectly fine. I just run double dot poisons. Honestly, you could run whatever you want. You can run a certain enchant for more sustain. I just like these because it's insane pressure, and it can keep that poison status effect just rolling. And obviously defending because tankiness is next to godliness. And for the body, we do run the typical 3-3-1, 3 heavy, 3 medium, 1 light. But if you do want to be an absolute monster doing the most damage, you could go 3 light, 3 medium, 1 heavy. That would give you the most possible damage. But for this build, we do run a heavy Balor's helm, heavy chest of the training, heavy shoulders of Balor's, a light sash of Druid's braid, and a light medium hands, legs, and feet of Deadly. For the enchants, if you can, try stat all the pieces, and if you can't do that, try stat the big pieces. What I mean by that is head, chest, and legs. And if you can't do that, max damage perfectly fine. Honestly, you probably wouldn't even need to adjust your health attributes. And for the traits, 6 impen, 1 reinforce. Yes, 6 impen, 1 reinforce. The only reinforce I have is a heavy chest of trainee reinforce, and the rest impen. But obviously, if you want some more reinforced heavy pieces or some well fit, go ahead. That's what I like about builds. We fit to our playstyle. And for the jewelry, we do run a deadly neck and ring, and a death dealer's feet ring. Obviously, because it only comes in a ring, duh. 2 with infused weapon and spell damage, and 1 bloodthirsty with weapon and spell damage. On this one, honestly, you could go either all mag or all stam or any combination with the jewelry. Honestly, I have here all mag, and honestly, it was working wonders. My stam sustain was perfect. All mag recover would be perfect, but if you want all stam recover, go ahead. I felt that 2 infused was perfect. If you want to go 3 infused or all bloodthirsty, honestly, you could go either way and you would be perfectly fine with this build. And for our food, simple Joseph Mistral, saying that purple food is perfectly fine. Gives a lot of max health and recover everything. But obviously, if you got deep pocket or don't mind spending a little extra, or Zaka Smoke Bear Haunch gives you about 400 more max health and slight more recover. And for our pots, just simple tripods. Gives us a burst of everything, burst of mag, health, and stam, and also gives us recover everything. But obviously, if you're balling and you got too much gold and don't know what to do with it, then you could go minor heroism pots, basically sacrificing the health for minor heroism. But those things are very pricey, so up to you. Simple tripods. You can either craft them yourself, or you can just use the crown tripods that I have here. They do the exact same thing. Alright, but enough of that. Let's go over the CP now. For the blue CP, we're doing Fighting Finesse, increases critical damage, critical healing, focus many, increases our healing done when single target heals, Ironclad reduces our damage taken from direct damage attacks, and Untamed Aggression increases our weapon and spell damage by 150. The reason we run this is because Templars have a mixture of direct damage, AoE, single target. It's just all over the place. So I felt Untamed Aggression was perfect because it also double dips into our heals. But if you want to run Wrathful Strikes or Thaumaturge to increase your beam damage, go ahead. There's honestly no wrong way to run this. And for the red CP, typical seal of approval red hex CP. Celerity increases our movement speed by 10%. Honestly, in my opinion, the best CP in the entire game. Survival instinct, while 50 with the status effect, our core combat skills cost less. Pain's Refuge, the more negative effects we have acted on us, the tankier will become. And Sustained by Suffering, when afflicted with a negative status effect, increases our mag, health, and stam recover by 150. And for the green CP, doesn't ever really matter. Rationer, Liquid Efficiency, Kip the Rider, and Steve's Blessing. But alright, cool beans, that's the build. Hope you guys did enjoy it. Honestly, the Stam version of this was honestly really fun because being a roly-poly is so much fun. But I'm just going to say, if you're wondering whether to run the mag or the Stam one, just run the mag one. The mag one is superior to this build simply because your spammable literally heals you on the mag build, and you're able to run a purify. But as always, for those legends still stick around to the end of the video, I greatly do appreciate it. Hit the subscribe and like button, goes a long way, and I greatly do appreciate it. Also, for those that don't know, I have made the switch to PC, and I'm grinding super hard. So if you ever want to support me over there on Twitch to see how the grind's going, or just say hi, honestly, doing the grind is a little boring. But when you guys stop by in the stream and talk to me, honestly, you guys just make that stream. You make that 5-hour stream feel like a 20-minute stream. Like you guys really make my day. Also support me on Patreon if you want to choose the first video of every month. But as always, you know the rest. Like the video if you liked it, comment your thoughts or experience with the build. Also, anything I might have missed out, what video I should do next. Subscribe for more, but most importantly, stay Zergin.